Hello everyone, welcome back for another tutorial. Today we paint Gustav from Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This is a model that was suggested by you, the audience. Starting the painting process from the hair, which will be entirely covered by a 1-to-1 mix of Abaddon black and Rhinox hide. Then we will add some highlights of just Rhinox hide. We shall shade the hair with Agrax Earthshade and wait for it to dry completely. This way, we both blend the colors and at the same time we shade the piece. Afterwards, we will go back to Rhinox hide and apply a thin layer over the highlights. This will create a nice gradient on the hair, which unfortunately the camera cannot show. Mix Rhinox hide with Dumble Brown 1-to-1 to create a mid-tone. Then we will use the mid-tone to add details to the front of the hair. Do not paint in the recesses. Keep the mix close as we will use it again to paint the facial hair. For the face, the first thing we'll need is 2 nice layers of Bagman's Glow. You don't necessarily have to prime the piece grey or white. I was going for the normal Asian white skin. Then remember that Gustav is actually Caucasian. Make another mix, this time 1-to-1 Bagman's Glow and Cadian Flesh Tone. Add a layer over 95% of the face piece. The example parts you can omit are the inner ears and the nape. Then about 90% of the previously painted area will be covered with 1 layer of Cadian Flesh Tone. The main target to be covered is the face. Everything else is not as important, so choose the areas you want. Ensure that the previous layer of Cadian Flesh Tone is completely dry and then cover only the face with another layer. The beard and the mustache will be based with German Grey. 2 layers are enough for a solid base. Along with those areas, paint the eyebrows, which I forgot to do until it was too late. Now it is time to reuse all those mixes we had from the hair. First, the Rhinox hide and Abaddon black mix will be used to cover the mustache and beard completely. Subsequently, with Rhinox hide we'll go over the same parts covering less area. In order to differentiate a bit from the hair, we will use the mix of Rhinox and Dumble to make pre-shade highlights over the beard and mustache. Then, as promised, we will shade the areas with Agrax Earthshade. Let the shade dry completely before proceeding. Going back to the Rhinox and Dumble once more, we will touch some of the pre-shade highlights we did, adding a bit of vibrancy. If you have leftover mix, don't throw it away. We will need it one last time. Optionally, you can add detail with pure Dumble Brown on the mustache. I didn't. The eye scleras will be painted with Corax White, as always. Gustav has brown eyes, so we will visit Rhinox hide once more. With it, we will paint the irises. Then, reusing the Rhinox and Dumble mix, we will highlight the irises. Backtracking to the skin, it is time to highlight it. In order to achieve this, we will create a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Cadian Flesh Tone and Kislev Flesh. Painting targets are the nose, the areas under the eyes and the forehead. Afterwards, using pure Kislev Flesh, we shall add light details here and there over the highlighted areas. Don't overdo it. And just like that, the head is complete. Moving to the upper body. The coat will be entirely painted with Black Templar. A single layer is enough, as there will be later a second one to fix mistakes. Unlike in Luna's video, we will load a dry brush with Retributor armor and dry brush the golden details on the coat. If you do not remember what happened with Luna's details, the video is in the card visible now. Do not fix any mistakes yet, as there will be more, so no point in going back and forth. We will paint the rims as well as buttons of our messy coat and belts with sky grey. I speed up the video as the area to cover is huge. I want to show as much as possible. Still, you don't have to fix any mistakes yet unless you really want to. I will tell you when the right time is. The shirt will be painted with Nagaroth Night. Subsequently, we can add some highlights with Xarius Purple. We will blend the colors together with Drushi Violet. Optionally, after the shade dries completely, you can add a few details of Xarius Purple on the shirt. With Iron Hand Steel, we will paint the belt buckles and D-rings which exist around the body. Last but not least, we will paint the armband. The recipe is exactly the same as Luna's armband, meaning the base will be medium sands. While at it, paint the armband's extension. Then, 2 layers of Seraphim Sepia are needed. Do not drench the pieces, just lightly cover them. Also, ensure the first layer is completely dry before you apply the second. Once the second layer has dried, we will add a bit of color back with a single thin layer of medium sands around the areas the light hits. Afterwards, we will highlight with Ushapti Bone both pieces. With all the details painted and highlighted, now is the best time to fix your mistakes. I suggest you first cover the affected areas with Abaddon Black and then pass with Black Templar. While at it, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more awesome tutorials. Once you're done fixing mistakes, load a small dry brush with Dark Reaper and go over the black coat areas which the light hits. Then, loading the same dry brush with Thunderhawk Blue, we shall go over the same areas, catching the most raised and prominent details. To achieve a smooth gradient, we'll blend the colors from the dry brush with the coat with Nuln Oil. Putting the cherry on top of the coat, we'll paint the expedition mark with Hoplite Gold. Feel free to reuse Retributor armor if you wish. For the mechanical arm, we will use the same technique as the coat, meaning we will do a dry brush to get all golden details, then we will fix the mistakes. Do so with Retributor armor. Disclaimer, some parts I had to go over with a brush, so you might have to do the same to get vivid results. With Black Templar, we will now paint the metallic part, which is below the golden highlights. As we just did the mechanical arm, let's work on the effects piece which is attached to it. To do so, base the entire piece with Screamer Pink. Then, in order to give depth to the piece, we shall cover it entirely with Doomfire Magenta. Making a 1-to-1 mix of Screamer Pink and Sunset Red, we will start painting the raised areas, avoiding the recesses at all costs. With a specific mix, paint the most of the arms areas that the light hits. Then, with pure Sunset Red, we will go over the previous layer, covering about 50%. Doing literally the same with Emperor's Children, we will add another layer to the effect piece. Remember, roughly 50% of the previous layer. Finally, a few details will be added with Fulgrim Pink close to the center of the piece. For those seeking how to paint his backpack, base it entirely with black Templar. Then, with sky gray, paint the rims, the raised details of the main backpack along with the belt rims. Using Retributor armor, we can paint the raised details of the bedroll. Afterwards, with Iron Hand steel, we shall paint the belt buckles. Fix any mistakes and then proceed to shade all dark and metallic areas with Nuln Oil. Keep the Nuln Oil close, as for the lower body we will need to mix Leviathan Blue and Nuln Oil roughly 1:1. Then take your trusty dry brush, fill it with Dark Reaper and go over the piece heavily. Subsequently, load the same dry brush with Thunderhawk Blue and go over the same areas, lightly this time. In order to blend the colors together, we will use Dragonhof Nightshade. To ensure the belts are still black, we will cover them along with the pouch with black Templar. With the belly of a small brush and sky gray, we are going to paint the rims of the belts and pouch. Go slowly to avoid mistakes. To differentiate the lower body's belt from the coat, we will use Incubi Darkness and add a few highlights here and there from the side the light hits. The few metallic parts on the lower body will be painted with Iron Hand steel. To blend the colors, we are going to use Nuln Oil once more. Shade both the metallic and non-metallic areas of the belts and the pouch. All that remains is the cloth band on Gustav's lap, which will be painted exactly like the armband. So start with 2 layers of medium sands. Then shade with 2 layers of Seraphim Sepia. From the raised areas, remove the shade with a thin layer of medium sands. Finally, highlight with Ushapti Bone. Off to the legs. Start with the bandages, which will be painted with a 1:1 mix of Abaddon Black and German Grey. Then we'll highlight them with a dry brush of German Grey. The boots, along with a black leathery thing, will be covered entirely with black Templar. Afterwards, to differentiate a bit the leathers, we will dry brush the boots with Blood River Flesh. If you don't have the color, use Rhinox Hide. The dry brush will be light around the boots. With Sky Gray, we will paint the rims of the leather part, the belts, and the raised details on the boots. With Retributor armor, we'll paint the buckles on the leg belts as well as the metallic parts at the ankles. Subsequently, we're going to shade everything except the Sky Gray with Nuln Oil. Final piece, the sword. You know how to paint the skin from the face, so we go straight to the glove, which will be painted with German Grey. The pommel and guard will be painted with Hoplite Gold or Retributor armor, it's up to you. In case of the latter, you need to shade it. The grip will be painted with Corax White. Let's focus on the blade, which will be painted with Iron Hand steel. Afterwards, only the blade will be shaded with Nuln Oil. Looking at the sharp side, we will remove most of the shade close to the edge. On the dull side, we can make some edge highlights with Iron Hand steel. For the ultimate step in this tutorial, We'll use Stormhost Silver and add details on both the sharp and dull areas of the sword. Target the pointy side and not close to the guard. The result should look like this. If you like what you saw and want more, subscribe to my channel. Write me in the comments which part you liked the most. Also, please give the video a thumbs up as it helps the algorithm spread the video. All colors used in the video are on your screen now. I was MiniatureUrsus. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.